I froze for a second. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm back from all my travels. Come on in, come on in. I'm happy to see everybody. I'm gonna get the chat up and going. I hope everybody had a wonderful few weeks. I missed everybody. Hey, Robin. Ooh, I almost spelled everyone wrong. How's everyone doing on this lovely Thursday evening? And I truly mean lovely. It is beautiful finally where I live. I think we have, as of yesterday, Rocky, I believe you are worn out. You have been all over too. I've been traveling a lot, but you are in places. Hello, Daniela. Hi, Selena. How's everyone doing? Greetings from Minnesota, Melissa. Y'all, welcome. Hi, Kathy. How's everybody doing? All right. So listen, I've been out of it for a few weeks. I'm happy to. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Mary Ann. Oh, Westchester, you're near me. Um, okay. So you know what I feel too, and it has been. We always joke around like you shouldn't talk about like weather and things on this in case you recorded and you want it to be evergreen. But let's be real, it's been so cold in Pennsylvania. I'm just so happy to feel like a real human again. Like the sun was out today. I felt alive. I don't feel like I'm tired starting this, which usually during the wintertime I was because it was dark out. But it's naturally bright behind me. We did it, guys. So if this is your first time here, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We might get a couple newbies tonight. I met some of you in my travels. I told you to jump on board. And listen, because we were off for 2 weeks, I tried to keep, oh, you're getting my dog's nonsense back there. Let's move this camera back. Um, Listen, because I was off for a few weeks, we came back with a lighthearted topic. We're talking about tailoring your service to meet clients' needs tonight. Nothing too heavy. We don't have to think too hard in this first one back. But I was off for a bit, but let me actually do my proper intro. If this is your first time here, my name is Laura DeVeiga. I am the Director of Agency Development at World Via Travel Network, and I am lucky enough every Thursday, as long as I'm in town, to host this live session, which is called Elevate Your Agency, where we get into it. We talk personal development, we talk professional development. Because in my years in the industry, I used to be a business development manager and actually ran a team for a short period of time. And oh, the camera keeps wanting to go over there. What I would hear from individuals out in the travel world is there was no place for this. So I wanted to offer a space that was free, short little snippets that we go through every Thursday, and we just talk through it. We talk through the tough stuff, we talk through the easy stuff, we talk through the stuff that feels easy but actually was tough. We get into it, right? So if it's not your first time here, welcome back, y'all. I see a lot of names I recognize in that chat, and I'm so thankful you're here because if you didn't show up, there would be no reason for me to be here. I know some of you all were traveling as well, so I hope you're doing well. Where I've been over the last few weeks, I was in Las Vegas for the Las Vegas Travel Agent Forum. I was with Kathy, she's in here, and a few other members that were with us as well with my network. Then I headed out on the MSC World America, their inaugural out of Miami, and that ship was something to see. I will tell you that. It was really, really gorgeous. This is their ship that they're putting out to be like in comparison with the Royal Caribbeans of it all and kind of open up to the American market. And I believe they'll definitely be able to do so with this ship. It was quite gorgeous. Great entertainment, some really cool options. My favorite thing was definitely they had a brewery on board and made their own beer, which was very, very cool. But this is not a commercial for that. I just wanted to kind of talk about where I've been and what's going on. So, if it's your first time, feel free to chat away. It makes it a heck of a lot more interesting for me and everybody in the chat. When I ask questions, answer them in there. I'll interact the whole time. It makes it a lot more fun. It makes it a lot more interesting. Put in your thoughts, your disagreements, everything. I like the good, the bad, and the sarcastic remarks. So please pop them in. And I just want to put out there. So pop it in there, guys. How's it going? I know Rocky said you said you're worn out. How are things going? We are in the middle of April. You have been through the thick of it the last few months. How's everybody feeling? Everyone doing all right? Anything crazy going on before we get into this? If so, let me know. If not, we're gonna jump in because I like to be mindful of everybody's time in case you're eating dinner now or shuffling kids around. That's what I was just doing. I had to get my kid to practice. But tonight we're getting into tailoring your services to meet clients' needs. Personalization. Oh my goodness. backtrack it. Personalization, right? And why it's important and why sometimes it can get lost in the shuffle, right? So like sometimes we don't mean it and unintentionally we get so busy in our own things that we just stop doing things that were really good in the beginning. And we talk a lot in my host about because and just a reminder, if you are new here, you do not have to be part of my host. Invite your friends that are not part of my host. A lot of my host members are in here and I love them dearly for that, but this is open to everybody, so you're welcome to jump along. But we talk a lot about um, just how I lost my train of thought. That happened that fast. But anyways, let me scale back for a second. So the idea of personalization is kind of what really sets you apart in the industry, right? It can get very like the channels can get flooded very fast. There's a lot of advisors out there, which is a great thing, right? We're all very busy. We cannot complain about that. It's a good problem to have. But what is important is kind of setting yourself apart and finding yourself what sets yourself apart. Things that come up with us often are, how can I differentiate myself? What can I be doing differently? What can I help with? And I find, oh, that's what I was going to say. We talk a lot about scaling your business at my host agency. And scaling is hard if you are doing something that is not scalable. What do I mean by that? So yes, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit tonight about writing individual written notes, right? That is a great idea. Can you do it when you have thousands of clients? Maybe not, but there are solutions for that, right? So like it's thinking through those things to making sure you're making the right decisions for yourself and for your business. And being able to personalize might take some steps in a direction of, do you have to scale your own business in order to do so? So that might be hiring a virtual assistant. It might be hiring an actual in-person assistant. I don't know what that might look like, but we'll talk through some different things. I'm going to pop the presentation up real quickly. Oh, I forgot a key piece. Guys, I got this far in and I didn't do it. How dare I? If you're new here, we do have a Facebook group. Oh, this is exactly the topic you're focusing on right now, Rocky. Good. We are on topic. All right. Also, if you're new here, I do think I'm musically inclined, but I know very well that I am not. So bear with me when I have those moments. I'm going to pop a link into the Facebook group. Feel free to add yourself. There is no obligation. Nothing's happening there. We're not selling you anything. What it is a space for you guys to ask questions, know when the next episode's coming out, know what the next episode's going to be about. So if you're like, oh, should I skip it? Should I watch the recording? You can do so. You can register for the new class. All the old episodes are posted in there as well. So if you want to catch up on what we've been talking about, what's going on, that's all there. So feel free to add yourself in there and I'll get you added to the group. All right, now let me get my presentation back up. I'm going to share it real quick. I'm glad we're on topic, Rocky. So listen, the idea behind why this is the topic right now and like kind of why we've been with these topics a bit is my intention was for March to be all like your client focused, right? So I like to have like a month's worth of topics. We're about to venture into some supplier topics next month, but what happened with me traveling, we kind of branched out a little bit and these overlaid into April, which is perfectly fine, right? So it's not an issue, but that's what this is laid over. So we talked a bit about clients the last couple of weeks, right? We talked about difficult clients 2 weeks ago. The week before that, we talked about, I forget how the specific topic, but it was a similar like catering to your clients, making sure you're doing what makes sense. So this is all about building loyalty, driving repeat business, staying ahead of trends, because it can be a lot, right? We all know like we have so much we're taking in, and it's not just work stuff. It's your personal life. It's what's going on in the world, the news, the like. It is work stuff. Then it might be customer issues. It might be supplier issues. There's so many things that are just going 100 miles an hour in your brain. So just kind of having some ideas to help you like put these things in boxes, or reorganize what you've already kind of put out there. Because this is a topic where I could see somebody that's like, oh, I'm more experienced. I've got this figured out. I hear you, but I can tell you, even I'm fairly experienced. I've been in this industry for a bit, but having these moments of self-evaluation and going, oh, I haven't been doing that. Oh, I could still be doing that. I think that's what this is really helpful for. And I'll cater the conversation to both, whether you're brand new or whether you're more on the more experienced side. But listen, the reality is today's travelers want their experiences to be for them. They want personalized experience. They want to be able to tell those stories like this was made for me. I had it, you've been with them. They're your clients, right? Where you have the people that are like, oh, well, she did this for me. I'm special because this. I'm going to make a joke here. This is for a very segmented group of people. But if anyone remembers the TV show Little House on the Prairie from I think the 80s. So again, dating myself, there was a girl character on there at one point, and she used to be like, she had a phrase that sticks in my brain. And she came into the house one day, and she was like kind of showing off to the Ingalls, and she said, "Well, my house has carpet." Oh, my dog just busted the door down. I apologize. I don't know if you remember that line or the character, but we quote that often in my house when someone's like showing off, like, well, my house has carpet, right? So that's kind of Nelly. Yes, thank you, Alyssa, for knowing my very niche joke there. But that's what this is, right? People want to be able to be like, well, I got to do this. When I did this, she did this for me, but whatever it may be. It's building that kind of experience for them. They want something that feels like it's theirs. That's important to clients because that's why they're going to a professional, right? We could pretend all we want that people know better. Let's say that, right? That they're like, oh, of course they're going to go to a professional. We know we fight that tooth and nail. Sometimes it's really proving to people why there's value in you. And sometimes that's showing like, listen, I'm going to create something that you can't create on your own. So, oh my goodness. This is I promise I'm not as messy as this floor looks right now. That's something my dog is now she's sitting next to, but is playing with. All right, let's get into this presentation. Okay. So why personalization matters, right? I did get an energy drink before today, so I apologize for how fast I may or may not talk. But why personalization matters. So one, it builds loyalty. When you craft an experience, and I don't think this is I'm not creating sliced bread here, but I think it's important to remember that when you create a personalized experience for a client, they're not going to forget it. They're going to feel seen. They're going to feel excited to tell people about it. And they're going to want to come back because no one's done that for them before, or they weren't able to craft it themselves. So providing that kind of service, one, elevates you, but from Susie down the street or from the Expedias. Listen, and I know we all use Expedia Tap and things like that, but the reality is that's what we're competing against, right? The OTAs, the online travel agencies. So what can you do that's going to separate you? And sometimes that's as simple as like helping with customer service issues, right? There was an individual at the River Cruise Expo that said, AI can do a lot, but AI can't call in a favor when something goes wrong in your trip. So it's things like that, right? But at the same time, it's also that they're going to remember, like this quote I have here, it's going to remember how they felt. I say this often, I don't think I've said it in a few weeks, but individuals buy on heart and justify it later. So if you are creating an experience that makes them feel good inside, one, they're more likely going to buy sooner, and it's going to be an easier sales conversation and conversion for you. But also that's going to get them more excited. It's going to get them talking about it. They're going to tell their friends and family what a great experience you created for them. So that's that four walls marketing, right? That you cannot beat. They're telling their friends and family, you have to go to my guy, you have to go to my girl to book these things for me. So that creates that loyalty, and it kind of brings you a little brand cheerleader, which is nice, a little bit of a brand ambassador. Then they have the customer expectation, right? You're 80% more likely to buy from brands that offer personalization. 80. That's not like so far maybe it's 20. No. If it's personalized, if it's going to feel like a unique experience, you are 80% more likely to buy. That's a crazy number. Because so often when you hear percentages, you're like, yeah, it's like 30%. What does that mean to me? 80 is a big amount. And I know it's accurate. Like when I know something is triggered to me and catered to my interests, I'm on board. I'm like, yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for participating in what I wanted to be participating in. It just feels good. Again, they're going to remember how they felt. They buy on heart. So again, having that personalization that is what they're looking for. So that's their expectation. And really it's the expectation of anyone right now. What TikTok has kind of created and the social media world has created is unique experiences. People want that feel when they're doing things. So making sure we create that and we're not just being order takers is incredibly important. And then, of course, competitive edge, stand out in a saturated market. I kind of already talked about that earlier, but that's the reality. Listen, what's a beautiful thing about this industry is that we're not competitive in the matter that like people are stealing bookings from you around the corner. At least that was never my experience when I was an advisor. But it is competitive in the sense where people are searching and they say, okay, I need an Egypt expert. And they're pulling a mass amount of individuals. So what sets you apart from that individual, right? What are you offering offering? What are you building into your trips? What are you making sure is a non-negotiable that you're including for every client that you bring in, right? So we'll talk through some of that in a second, but those are the things, giving yourself that edge. So let's talk about the first step of this, right? Which is client segmentation. And that's knowing who you're marketing to, right? So, what a personalization looks like for a luxury seeker compared to a solo traveler is very different things. Now, these are just a handful of ideas of how you can segment your clients. Your client portfolio may look very different than this. So, this does not have to be what you use. But this is just some examples, right? Luxury seekers, they want VIP experience. They want door-to-door service for transfers. They want private dinners, private tours. They don't want just small group tours. They want to be just them. They want luxury hotels. They want butler service. This is an easy one, right? Budget travelers, value packed itineraries. And budget traveler is a unique thing because this does not mean they're cheap. I want that to be very clear. This means they have a dollar amount that they're willing to spend and they want to get the most value in that dollar that they possibly can. And how creative you are in that space is going to take you a heck of a lot longer away than you just picking a couple things because it's the cheapest and handing it to them. You getting a quality hotel for these individuals and then being able to work in some excursions because you did a little bit of extra effort is going to take you so much farther because they're going to go, she really listened and built this for me so that then when they tell their friends and family, they're like, I know you can trust her because she understood and she heard me. Adventure lovers, off the beaten path activities, right? And this isn't just sometimes people take adventure like, oh, I'm going to put them on a bike tour because they like adventure. No, sometimes it's deeper than that. How adventurous do they want to get? Listen, I just heard a wild story. And this actually came from the River Expo a few weeks ago, but like there was somebody that like they wanted, this is craziness. But the gentleman told the story about an individual that booked a travel experience that basically made them seem like they were getting kidnapped by someone. And that for them, so it was felt like they were being taken hostage. And how would they get out of that situation? And the gentleman that booked it did not tell the individuals he was with they were doing it. But that was an adventure they were seeking. It was like putting themselves in a dangerous situation. And how would they get out of it? And it was a real tour that was booked. So I know that's an extreme situation, but adventure just isn't like I want to go for a bike ride anymore. Adventure is a lot of things. Adventure could also be still luxurious, right? So who is it? G Adventures. G Adventures has an incredible tour where you take a small like sailing boat to the different Greek isles. That's adventurous. Let's be clear. Sleeping in those boats is not as easy as it seems. It's a much more different, it's a much different like experience than sleeping in high-end hotels. It feels different. It's going to be a different kind of adventure for them. That's adventurous to me. It's also the same as a lot of G Adventures products, actually. A great example is like adventure, but within reason. So some people, I am an example of, I love to be adventurous, but I like to feel comfortable. So I don't necessarily want to sleep in tents, but I want to do all the things that lead up to that, right? So what does that look like for an individual? So adventure could go a lot of different ways. Then, of course, there's families, and families you think safe, fun, organized, but families are branching out. So families aren't just, your Disney theme park vacations anymore. That's why Adventures by Disney is so huge right now. This is why, a lot of the large group touring companies are making accommodations for children. Cruise line or river cruise lines are making accommodations for children because kids are, I don't know if it's the social media of it all. I don't know what's going on, but like I know my kids have an interest in seeing countries that I didn't even know existed when I was a kid. So don't keep your box too small with this. I think there's a lot that can be done with families, but it's going to look very different than what you're putting together for a luxury person, right? Or actually, there could be some crossover, but maybe let's say for the adventure lover, you don't want to put a 7 and an 8-year-old on an adventure tour, right? For the most part, it's probably just not in their wavelength, and you don't want to upset them. And the last is solo traveler. Solo travels has always been a big market and is getting bigger and bigger. We have some individuals that work in our organization that are big solo travelers and utilize a lot of the really great tour companies. that offer those. But this is a very different segmentation because you have to be careful what kind of tour company you're putting them with. Make sure the tour company has, if they have an age group banding, that you're putting them with the correct ones. Paying attention to what their specific needs are for being a solo travel, like is safety as far as like where you're sleeping important, or are they okay with just a hostel or whatever? Is important because you can do two very different things. And there's some excellent brands, Kontiki, Intrepid, G Adventures, they all do some great solo travel. But putting them in the right one is important because just because someone has to or wants to travel by themselves doesn't mean they want to be with like a group of kids backpacking around Europe, right? There's some really incredible cruises that cater to solo travelers. There used to be, and it's less of a thing now. I remember for a long time, I think it was Norwegian Cruise Line had like a singles lounge on one of their ships, which was very cool. But there's just, things to think about because it's not what's in the brain space of someone that's traveling as a family. So you cannot market the same way as you would market a family trip. Right. So that's just talking a bit about segmentation. There's a lot of other segmentations. And if there's something I didn't think of, please feel free to drop it in the group. But there are some of those that, like you have to be very careful. They're very different conversations than you're having with another one. Generational travel, right? That looks very different depending on what those generations are and what they want to do. So like there's some variances there for sure. So here, I want to talk about some tools you can use to segment your clients. Okay. First is gathering the data to figure out what they even fall into. So do you have intake forms currently? Do you use them? What do they look like? Pop it in the chat if you do. Many individuals I work with have them as forms on their websites. That's an easy way to do that. There's a lot of free form services that you can build them into. And it's just a simple qualifying form. What are you interested in? What kind of experience are you trying to have? What do you want to do when you're on the trip? Things like that. And it helps you build a case for these individuals and also what you can start to search for. You can do it with surveys as well, or just making notes in your CRM, but I find a good intake form. And if any of you have some, actually, if I had to guess somebody has a good intake form in here, Rocky, I feel like you probably do. But the right qualifying questions to bring somebody in to start to segment early, right? And then you might find in further qualifying questions when you're on the phone with them or you're going back and forth through email, you might have to place them somewhere else, but it's a good place to get you started as an intake form. And then you want to analyze the patterns too. So if they are a repeat booker, look at their past booking. What do they like? What do they hate? What do they want to do again? What do they never want to touch again? Now, if you didn't book their past booking, it's a little more difficult, but I will challenge you to ask them. I used to always ask myself, I'd say, well, what did you do for your last vacation? What did you hate about it? And what did you love about it? That helps you build yourself going forward because pretty quickly when you say, oh, is there anything you didn't like about it? They're going to tell you and you can say, oh, I need to scratch that off this. So making sure those notes are in there and keeping that in your CRM is really, really important. Also, social media. Listen, if they're not, some people just don't want to give. Some people just not want to start talking. So doing a little digging on social media, I know this takes a minute and I understand that, but maybe check around. What have they traveled before if they've posted anything, especially if you're already friends with them on there. I'm not saying to get too investigatory here, but things look into that. But just see what kind of patterns of, the individuals maybe that they travel with, where have they done before? Look into those things. And the big thing is feedback, especially if they've traveled with you before. I've talked about this on separate occasions, but it's always relevant to bring back into play. Always, always, always be asking for feedback when your individuals come home from travel. I know this can feel time consuming and you're like, I'm on to the next trip. I don't have time for this. Automate it. Set it up in your CRM system to send it out 2 weeks after they arrive home, a welcome home. I'd love to hear about your trip. Tell me the good, bad, and the ugly. Let's set up a time or send me an email, whatever makes the most sense for you, whatever's easier for you. But you have to do it because it builds your knowledge base for more trips in the future. So you know what to recommend and not recommend. 2, it helps you build the pattern for them and put them in a segmentation that makes sense and have better recommendations for them in the future. And 3, also, it's just a space for you to build your book like online and say, oh, can I have some photos that you did? Whatever it may be, it just helps you build your business the more feedback you grab. And sometimes that can feel incredibly tedious the busier you get, but it's important not to lose this habit because that's what's going to continue to grow you. Even at the size of our host agency, we ask all of our members consistently for feedback because that is how we build and adjust our business. Regularly, we check in on it. Regularly, we listen to it and we say, what can we be fixing from this feedback? So it's really important that you grab it for yourself too. Create categories. So depending on the CRM system you use, there's tags you can use. You can make these up on your own. But these are 2 in particular that you would maybe think to. Like everyone wants to be like, oh, family, oh, luxury, oh, this. But are they a foodie? Are they a history buff? Making a note that somebody's a history buff is it makes it so much easier for you in planning excursions and things like that in the future because you know, oh, I need to make sure I recommend all these kind of tours. I need to recommend sure they have this dinner here because they want to absorb what the place they are, want to experience it in real time. So that's important to make those notes. Same with foodies. If someone's a foodie and you send them to a B level, or no, I would say B level is probably all right, but like a C level resort, you're in for a heck of a lot of trouble for yourself on the other end of it. You don't want to do it. So making those notes for yourself, because the reality is, yes, we love repeat clients. That is how you build your business. They're the easiest to rebook, right? But you have bills to pay, kids to shuffle around, emails to write, things to do. It may not be in your brain space because we only have so much to hold to remember that this person's a foodie, right? But taking 5 seconds to add a tag to their name in the CRM is going to save you trouble when you pull it up in the future and go, oh, I remember she's a foodie. Oh, I remember she has a celiac allergy. Huge thing to remember, right? Oh, I remember that they're not like they're handy except or handicap accessible, like they need some assistance. Having these things in your head and in your system is going to help you so like and make things just so much easier for you. And then the biggest piece from all this as you start to segment out your list is you can segment your emails by travel preferences. So when you know, and then this may, some of you are probably like, Laura, I know this, but not everybody does, and not everybody's doing it. I know they're not because I meet with advisors every single day. So I can tell you, if you have it segmented out, you know they're big cruisers, only send them cruise promotions. If you know they're big Disney people, only send them Disney promotions. Or when you know something's opening up, like free dining for Disney. If there's a huge promotion where Globus is paying for your airfare, send it to your tour people. If you catch sometimes they'll do like river cruises, but it's a wine tour, send it to your wine lovers. Like having those little notes, and it's very easy and accessible to do in different CRM systems, and being able to segment out those lists, and you can just pull from the tags and go, okay, I want to send this to these people. I want to send this to these people. And just knowing and having that is a really, really useful tool, and really it's an exceptional habit to get in the space of, because then it's going to save you so much work on the other end. We talk often in here about preventative maintenance. This is going to help you so much. Okay. Then you got to adapt to industry trends, right? I think I put this top one in here the most because it's the one that drives me the most crazy, and not because it's a problem. Like, I want to do this, but I don't have the subscribers or time yet. Listen, Rocky, and that is a valid point. Sometimes I'm just talking. And if it's not in the place you're in yet, that's okay. Now, that being said, what I would tell you is start with what you have so you're creating good habits going forward. So even if you only have 3 people that you know that you can put in a list, but you know you can put them into 3 different lists, do it now. So you're creating the habits now to start it later. And I get what you're saying with time. What I would say with time is this is a tough one because you're busy, you're trying to book business, you're trying to make money, this is not your focus. I do say often you have to take a little bit of time and work on your business, not just in it. So even if that means, say you do have 100 people, I'm just making this up for anybody on this call. So you have 100 people, you're like, I don't want to go through this and figure it all out. Do 5 at a time. Say every Friday at 9 a.m., I'm just going to take 5 and put them into a segment. And then eventually you're going to get through them all. It's going to be a pain in the butt to have to do it every week, but it's done. Right now, it's just blanket subscription letter. I have about 225 subscribers, but they come from so many events I met them at. Ooh, fair enough. Okay. So what I would say to you, this is, you're in a, and this actually happens pretty often, right? You're grabbing people because you do a lot of events, Rocky. I remember that. So what I would say is you put them in a different box, which is just like it's almost like an embedded in an event box, event. I don't even know what would be the best to put it as. It could be like a miscellaneous traveler box, right? Where you start to send them all your correspondence. But how you start to segment them is when they appear to show some interest in any of the general topics you're sending out, then you box them somewhere else. So then you're not spending that time in the 225, but as they come through and change, that's how I would approach that. Might not be the okay, good. That's how I would do it. And then also the reality is, Rocky, too, You're going to have people that just aren't going to engage, and that's okay. They got excited when they saw you, and then they're just going to take your emails, and they might tell somebody else about you. So it doesn't mean anything. It's still useful to you in the long run, and you should definitely keep doing it. But doing it like that, at least it's just like it gets your message out there, but then you can segment it along the way. Okay, so adapting to industry trends. Versus, I always say sustainable travel. I said that this is a tough one because a lot of hotels and cruise lines and things are getting on board with this, but I feel like the line is some don't do it quite as good as some of the travelers want it to be. So I always struggle with this one, but it is important. One, eco-conscious lodging and carbon offsetting is big. A lot of the hotels market it, whether they're green or what their green initiatives are. So it takes a little bit more research, but this is a big market. Some people like to get into this, but this is something, if you know somebody wants eco-conscious travel, ooh, make sure you mark it, because they're gonna be very upset if they find out that the hotel you send them to is not doing the initiatives or actively going in the other direction. So keep that in mind. This is a big one that I think is very cool. So tech-driven experiences. So apps, virtual planning, AI suggestions. So this scares some people, right? They're like, I don't want to be on the computer all the time. I don't, this is great. But there are some people that this is very much their love language, right? They want to be able to control it. They want to be able to alter what they're doing when they're there. They want to be able to order from the iPad in their room. I just had friends of mine that just traveled to a hotel or to a resort in Jamaica, and they were like, you know, they were very turned off by the fact that they had to be on their device at all times. They're like, oh, that's how we made our reservations. That's how we did this. That's how we, it's how we went to the. So those individuals, you better make sure, are not in that box. But then there's other individuals, someone I work with every day, this is their preference. One, and I think it's what socially has kind of happened to us as a culture, is that sometimes I know myself, I'm so on and I'm so going all day long. When it comes to the weekend, I am what we lovingly call my home a potato. And I sit like this behind my Kindle that is on an arm that is attached to my couch. I don't even hold the Kindle, with a little sad clicker right here. And I want to be by myself. Because I'm very much an extroverted introvert. When I am in my moment, I can be extroverted and conversational. But when I have my time to myself, I want to be quiet and just in my own space. And so that's why that's very appealing to me. I like that I don't have to call somebody. I like that I don't have to find somebody for help. I like that somebody's going to suggest what I should do that day. I like that somebody's going to recommend where I should make my dinner reservation. So again, knowing your client and asking the right qualifying questions is huge here, but then also making these notes. Listen to what they're saying. Again, active listening. I talk about it all the time. If your client says, oh, I'm not great with phones, I'm not great with technology, you don't want to send them someplace like this. But there are some really cool hotels and options out there right now that you can provide to your clients, where their foods, everything's AI driven, and there's no servers, and there's all these really cool things so just things to keep in mind. But and then the trend is heading in this way of, especially with AI suggestions. So if you can be on board with it, I highly recommend it. But it's definitely a cool division of travel that's happening. This is another cool industry trend that's happening that you could possibly segment people into, but is microcations, as they're called, which is like shorter, frequent getaways for business professionals. I can say I'm very guilty of this because I do travel so much for work, and I don't spend a lot of time on long trips for personal trips. So my husband and I do little getaways often. So for example, I'm doing the ASTA Travel Advisor Conference in Salt Lake City. So we're doing a long weekend in Salt Lake. You know what I mean? Like that little extra moment. We'll do long weekends, we'll try and get around in different places. Now this, and I can see a high surgence of this too in the next, couple years, because, more domestic based travel, kind of little getaways, just to get out, still see some things, but not spend too much time or too much money and not go too far. It's a really cool thing for busy professionals. And it's something that if you get in a good space of knowing your individuals that like this and keeping an eye on when you see deals pop from different suppliers, these are the people you market that to. Hey, they have a weekend here for this much this weekend. Do you want to take it? Yep. Hey, this is here for this week. Do you want to take it? Yep. Thinking about that. So sometimes people will do more little getaways instead of one big getaway, and you can actually make more on your end by having this and being able to offer it to your clients. And then the complete opposite of the tech driven, I listed this one. I think this is also very much on the rise, which is a digital detox. So no Wi-Fi retreats, focus on mindfulness. Now I know, and probably many of you on here, This will kill your soul from the inside out because travel advisors, now when they travel, they need to be working, they need to be taking content, they need to be doing things, and all that requires Wi-Fi. I also, like Virgin Voyages, believe that Wi-Fi is a human right, but you are not your client. This is not, I always say, this is not your pocket you're paying out of, right? This is not, you're not buying out of your money. If somebody wants to shut it down, let them shut it down. And there are some really cool immersive destinations you can do this. It's definitely more of the exotic destinations where you're kind of separated. And I think it's a really cool option for people that just need a shutdown. So thinking, and again, comes up in conversation. What are you looking to experience on your trip? What are you trying to feel right now? Might need a digital detox microcation and a sustainable. Susan, if I had to bet, that exists. I could take a bet that exists. And honestly, if I could put a pin on who it could be, let me think about that. I was going to say somebody, but let me think about that for a second. But I agree with you, right? I need all of these things in a manner. But what's important is when you're having these initial conversations, and I know sometimes they're not over the phone, they're via email, is picking up on words. It's being observant. I need a break. I need to get away. I need to be away from my computer. People want to say those things when you're having conversations. So making sure you're paying attention and taking those notes. Listen, I'll also tell you, I'm always promoting different AI services as I find them out and that are beneficial to me. I'm, as of this week, on board with the whole Otter AI trend, which it records your conversations and then regurgitates notes for you at the end, so you don't have to write notes. What I love about that, especially from a sales professional point of view, is you can be engaged with your client. It's recording the notes and taking the important bits and summarizing it for you after. And then you can take that entire piece of notes and pop that in your CRM about your client, right? So again, I'm talking about like work smarter, not harder. This week alone, it has saved me so much time. I've been able to be engaged in my meetings. I'm not looking down, writing down notes. I have the summary after, so I know what my actionable items I have to do. You'll know what you need to take from it. And it is called Otter AI, Selena, like otter, like the animal, little baby animal. And I'm a big fan. And they have a free 1 week trial too. So if you just want to try it out and see if it's for you, but I'm had it 4 days and I'm like, I'm in, take my credit card. It's just as far as, again, trying to make yourself more efficient, especially in a sales base, because you might be talking to multiple people in a day, and making sure your messaging is right and your notes are right. That's a really helpful way to do that. But taking down these notes, if they say they're burnt out on their computer, they need to travel sustainably. Making those notes are going to help you segment them a lot easier. And this is just a little deeper dive into tech. Use itinerary apps like Travefy for interactive client plans. You can build different itineraries. I'm never selling a product because we have our own with our hosts, but I know Travefy does this, so I'll just submit it when it's there, right? They have some cool itinerary builders and you can build there. We have a content creator with our host agency, but many other hosting consortiums have something similar where you can tailor to your client's interests and make marketing created around it. So social posts, email posts. So when I'm getting into the segmenting, so creating a cruise post, creating a cruise email and sending it only to those cruisers, creating an ecotourism email and sending all to your ecotourism ones, and then following who's opening it and who's not, because a lot of that can be done either in the content creator or your CRM. That's really important in all of this, is whatever step you take, in order to make a change in a direction, making sure you're monitoring it and making sure it's working. Will you share a recording of this session as well as the deck? Yeah, absolutely, Jamie. The recordings will always get shared in the Facebook group. So I'll re-add that here if you pop in there. But if you also email me, which I'll pop my email up at the end, I can send it to you. But yeah, getting a content creator of sorts or working, whether it's an AI or something from your own system, will help with creating that specialized services. And again, more AI assistance. So help us be more human in service. I know that sounds like a silly phrase, but it's a reality. What AI has done for me as a business professional is I can't even speak the words to how helpful it's been. For example, I know a lot of things that people struggle with, especially in the travel industry, because none of us came in to be a business strategist, right? So I was able to take raw data that I was pulling for about 100 It was about 100 individuals and responses to 7 different questions and different responses for each one. I was able to pop all that raw data into a report, and it was able to do comparative analysis for me. Who that were doing this much of this thing were answering this way, and like the amount of time it would have taken me to create that, I still will be sitting here days later with no idea and so much frustration. So just knowing what makes the most sense for your business is really crucial. So that might be, you taking a list of your clients in there and keywords they've said in their notes or whatever that, and then popping it into an AI and be like, sort these into segments for me. It can do that. Like if you look into the right options. So just some things to think about, but don't be afraid of tech, lean into tech. It's only going to help you in this process. Oh, come on, clicky slide. Did I miss one like that? No, okay, good. Build stronger client relationships. So, like we talked about, how do you get this information? One, start the conversations, ask the questions. What does a dream vacation feel like to you? Or what do you want to feel like on your vacation? What's important to you on your vacation? When you imagine yourself in this destination, what do you see yourself doing? In those questions alone, you're going to get a lot of those context clues that are going to help you segment and properly find the right tours for them, find the right tour operator to book them under, find the right cruise line for them, send them the right documentations from the different cruise lines or the different proposals. So asking questions like this are incredibly important. And I will add in here, this is where you ask, what was your last vacation? What did you love about it? These are where you ask it. And listen actively. 80-20. Listen 80, talk 20. And that is incredibly difficult for a salesperson. But I promise the minute you start doing it is you're going to see an increase in your sales. And I dare, if you have the capability, record yourself. And it's going to be incredibly painful to listen back to yourself. I know it because I do it to myself often. You don't record yourself to give it to anybody else, to do anything with it. No one else has to be in there with you. You record it to go, what did I need to say here? What did I need to do here? What should I have done differently? And how much am I talking? Am I just on there to listen to myself speak, or am I listening to them? Am I taking note of what they're saying to me? And when you record it, you have the opportunity to kind of go back and see any notes you missed. But it's incredibly helpful to take a self-evaluation moment and go, okay, what could I be doing better on a phone call? But 80-20 is the golden rule for active listening. And take those notes. And if you don't want to take those notes, Otter AI. Track milestones. We talk about this often, but make sure you're finding out anniversaries and birthdays when you're in that qualifying stage. Keep that in your CRM. Send notifications. Oh, it's your anniversary. Relive your honeymoon. Let's get you on a trip. Oh, it's your birthday. Where are you going? Where can I send you? Or just as simple, just a message of happy birthday or happy anniversary. It just shows you remember. It shows you care. I know I appreciate it every time it's sent to me. So I highly, highly recommend it. And this is an opportunity where you could do a personal note, especially for a birthday. I just say watch because scalability. So yes, it feels so lovely and wonderful to send out those first handwritten notes. And I dare say in the beginning you do it, just know your limit. Know when, okay, this is too much. I'm sending too much. I can't do it. An option for that, if you want to do handwritten notes and you don't have the time to do it anymore, you're getting too busy, you're too booked and busy, right? Which is a great thing, a great problem to have. There is a service. Now there's a cost to this. I don't want to pretend there isn't. I don't want to be open and honest with all of you. But there's a company called Handwritten, and they will send what looks like a handwritten note from you to your clients. You just pop their address in. It's a really great service, and it helps save you a lot of time. Now, I'm personally a fan of a handwritten note, and you'll know it because I am a left-hander and I smudge all over my cards. But if that is out of your skill set at the moment, handwritten's a really great option. And then follow up. Again, check in on past experiences. We already talked about that, but it's still important to mention. Communication techniques that work for all this. So personalize every interaction. Use their name. Reference past conversations. This is like day one in sales, but some of you haven't had to sit through a sales training or a sales conversation. So this is a moment to remind you, there is scientific proof that if you use an individual's name in a conversation, they're going to pay more attention to what you have to say. It's why servers do it. It's why if you're anyone that's ever selling something, you remembers your name. It's important to remember their name. I would say what's even more painful than remembering the name, I shouldn't say more, but what's more important is not misremembering the name. And that can be difficult and everyone's human, but that can turn people off. So try to remember what their name is, even if you have to repeat it at first. I know people that'll remember the name and put like a color or something to it to remember it, like whatever works for you, but remember their name is important. But also reference the past conversations. Listen, if you were talking, and we all know when you're getting on conversations with individuals, sometimes they're telling you things you don't need to know. But I'll use that stuff for later. How's your dog? How did everything go the other day? How did it go when you picked up your daughter from school? Was she happy and everything goes the way it was supposed to? Those little pieces are showing you're paying attention, and so that's really helpful in conversation. Create consistent touch points, check-ins, countdowns, post-trip thank yous. I know I feel like a broken record when I'm repeating this one, but all these are really important. And a countdown is a missed one that I don't bring up often, but I think is helpful. When you're about, say, 30 days out, and then another 10 days out, send a little message. And it can be automated. You don't actually have to send it yourself. It's an email that comes from you, but it says, hey, 30 days out. Hey, 10 days out. You getting ready to plan that next trip? Because you know they are. You know they're going to plan it the second they get on board. So, float that idea to them. Be proactive, suggest ideas before they ask. This is a big piece. I talk about preventative maintenance often. I already mentioned it in this call. If you know what they're interested in because you've segmented them the right boxes, you know they're in adventure travel, you sure as heck better be offering adventure excursions to them. If they're a luxury travel, you sure as heck better be booking them on private transfers. Think ahead, think and think every time you're meeting with a new individual, think of the questions they might ask back to you. I don't know if you guys remember the TV show This Is Us. The characters on there. It was Randall and Beth were the characters, and they used to play a game called Worst Case Scenario. I do that in every sales conversation I have. Worst case scenario, what might this individual ask me? Worst case scenario, what are the questions they could have with this destination? Because that preps you for what you should be adding, what might come up. And it also will help you when you miss things. Because listen, we're all busy, like things that are going on. So you can go, okay, did I book their transfer? Did I add their excursion they asked about? Did I do this? That's your worst case scenario. It's a great game to play to be proactive with all of your clients. And C, don't sell. We all want to close the sale. We all want money. We all want to grow our businesses. But when you stop listening and understanding what your clients are saying, you're setting yourself up on a bad track to not be the best that you can be. So, yes, the sale, if you have done all the things you're supposed to do, the sale will close, or it won't, and it was never meant to be yours. Because you did everything that was within your capability to get it done. You were proactive, you listened, you helped, you segmented, you put them in the right boxes, you suggested the right things, you gave them multiple options. If it still doesn't close, this isn't about you. There might be a million other reasons. Don't give up on it, but don't beat yourself down on it. But what's important is always listening. More often than not, when a sale doesn't close, it's not because of money. It's because you missed something crucial that they mentioned that you weren't paying attention to. Start listening, start paying attention. And you might already be doing that, but maybe listen a little closer, write a little bit more notes, try some things that get you in the right space so you're set up for success. Because I promise you, more often they're going on that trip, they wouldn't have called somebody if they weren't. So paying attention and taking that extra time to, again, play worst case scenario, think through it. It's going to help you close. It's going to help these people come back to you because you paid attention. Deliver unforgettable experiences, wow moments. This is just like silly things to remember, not silly things, but important things. Surprise upgrades, personalized touches. This is the lays in Hawaii I talk about when you get to the airport. This is upgrading them if you know it's only a couple dollars more and just doing it for them. And when they get there, they know they're going to be shocked and so excited, right? This is booking them, like you say you're going to book a trip to the Eiffel Tower, but you actually book a beautiful picnic in front of the Eiffel Tower with wine before it, right? This is star moments, something they'll always remember. Oh, I like the term star moments, Susan. I like that. But yeah, it's like the things they're not going to forget. I talked about my experience in Vienna a few weeks ago, right? And when I went on the Ferris wheel that's there, and it was freezing, and I was like a little shivering baby riding my bike through Vienna, and I was like, oh, it's going to be so cold. And we rolled up, and they didn't tell us that we were going to be a private, warm little gazebo first. So we drank coffee and ate desserts, and then they walked us onto the heated Ferris wheel. So like moments I was like, oh, thank God that happened. Like those are the moments that are really crucial and really important. And I'm a big believer in if you know those moments are baked in, don't tell them. Just let them happen. Because then they're like, oh, you're never gonna believe what she did for me. You're never gonna believe what he did with for me. My advisor listened. They knew I was gonna want to do this. They listened. And they might not even mention it, but they feel like you listened because they knew the experience, that you listened to the experience they wanted to have. Wow moments are incredibly important. And it's sometimes I know it's difficult to get an upgrade. Sometimes I know it's difficult to plan these things, especially when people are price conscious. It takes a little bit of working outside the box, but it'll take you a long way. And sometimes that's just also like, I'm going to separate this for a second. Sometimes this is also just like thinking through processes for them. Like if somebody wants the cheapest flight, but it's like 2 stops from here, from Philadelphia to Denver, like, no, have a conversation with them and say, I hear you, but you want to do this. And I promise you're going to thank me later for it. It's like those pieces where we're the professional, we know better. Thoughtful extras. Again, handwritten notes. We kind of already talked about this. Curated recommendations. And the curated recommendations, I know this comes up often when I mention this, like, how do you know this when you're just getting started? It's going to take a minute. It's going to take some research in the beginning. It's going to take a little bit of searching for you. But as you build your book of business and you start to send people back to the same destinations, you're going to have those things to mention to people. You're going to be able to say different things. Oh, do this tour when you're in Hawaii. Go here when you're in Jamaica. Go here when you're in Venice. Go here when you're when you're going to Cape Town. Like things like that are going to come to you as time goes on. And like I said, the handwritten notes is a really, really nice thing. Listen, I will tell you, I'm a big believer in like searching clearance bins for empty blank cards, and just having them to be able to write in and sending them out. And that's just, and like, it, nobody sends them anymore. Nobody sends real cards. It's so rare to get. It feels so good when you get them. That's never going to stop. Just always do it until you can't, and know your limit, because then there's going to come a limit where you get too big and too busy and you don't want to do it anymore. And that's okay. You can find other solutions, but I always just like to humor both sides of that argument. And then tailored solutions, segment specific experience. We kind of already talked through this, but depending what segment you put them in and where they sit in your book of business. If they're luxury, make sure you're giving them a luxury experience. If they're a solo traveler, making sure you're catering to that, things like that. All right, takeaways. Know your segments, right? We talked through this. What do they need? What do they want? What kind of brands should you be working with each one, right? Understand who you're working with. Apply your trends. Stay current with industry trends. Trends change constantly. Listen, we have an advisor in our network, and it's still very popular now. So I give her a lot of credit. That does those surprise trips, like where the client doesn't know where they're going until they get to the airport. That is a cool trend. I am here for it. But if you're not doing it, like, it's those things where you're like, oh, should we be on board with that? Should I be doing this? Like, seeing if it makes sense for you, and seeing if you can work them in, try to do it. And like I use the reference for cruising, although cruising is starting to level out. Finally, I didn't know that it would, but man, if you weren't booking ocean cruises last year, you were missing out on a whole ton of money because everybody was cruising. Everyone was cruising last year. So if you're, too stubborn or just don't know enough or whatever it may be, and you don't want to get on a trend, be willing to change, be willing to adapt, because it's going to help your business in the long haul. And I also just want to note on that. That's not even if you're just brand new. I can't tell you, I spoke to an advisor last year. I bring her up often, but she was an experienced advisor in the industry for 30 some years. And she said, Laura, I didn't think I need to switch anywhere. She said, but I need to build my build my book of business in ocean cruising, and I need to learn it fast because I know I'm missing a boat here. And she did, and she had a fabulous year because of it. So just making sure you're willing to adapt no matter what stage of the industry you're in, and not being afraid to be new again, not being afraid of having to learn again, because I think sometimes I talk to this and everyone's like, I know this. Well, but if you're switching to a new niche or going outside your box, you have to start from the beginning again. So thinking through that and what makes sense. Listen more, build relationships through understanding. Again, people buy on heart and justify it later. They're telling you their stories. Make sure you listen. And scale personalization, use tools to customize at scale. And that's what I was talking about earlier, right? Write the handwritten notes until you can't anymore, and then look into handwritten.com, right? So you can start sending them that way. Thinking about those things. Sending the personalized emails until you can automate them. And so it's a lot easier for you. So just thinking through what makes the most sense for you in business at your point in time. Next step. So what are you going to start doing this week? Also, does anyone have any questions? And listen, I've also I want to start putting this out here. If you want to schedule some one-on-one time with me, let me know. Send me an email. I'm going to put my link out. We can talk a little bit more in detail about what maybe I can help you with or questions you might have. Or you just like want to find out about when the next class is. But what can you start doing next week? What can you help? I also just thought these pictures were funny. Sometimes I get lost in the photos, guys. I don't know what they're doing. They all seem very booked and busy though. But thank you. So I'm going to pop this up here. And that's my email. If you have questions for me, concerns, thoughts, sarcastic remarks, whatever you want to say. I hope this was helpful this week. If you have any thoughts or questions, pop them in the chat. I can hang out for a bit. Or of course, you can always send me an email after you don't want to do it here. Add yourself to the Facebook group. I popped that above. I'll pop it in here one last time to see past episodes, just to see where I might be out and about traveling. Although I didn't do Vegas or the cruise. I apologize. I'm gonna be better about that. I did do Vienna. I'm headed to Fort Lauderdale next week. If you'll be at Cruise 360, please come out and see me. I'll be at booth 204 at the Cruise 360 trade show. If you're one of our Worldvia members, know that we will have a member meetup there. If you need more info, send me an email. If you also are with Worldvia, this is my shameless plug to Worldvia people, and you want to come on the quest with us on Norwegian Aqua, bring some of your friends. Go to Pro and search Quest with us because it's going to be me and Erica, and it's going to be a heck of a blast. But if you guys don't have any questions, feel free to drop off. We'll catch you next week. I appreciate all your time. I wouldn't be able to keep doing this if you guys didn't show up every week. I know this was a more lighthearted topic, but I do appreciate you guys sitting through it. And next week, I think we're getting into how to build a loyalty program and a proper loyalty program. I think that's next week. I could be wrong. But so I appreciate it. We're going to get heavier as the time goes on. Actually, not next week, the week after, because I'm at Cruise 360. But thank you, Dion. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Melissa. Selena, I have a question, please. I'm a new Worldvia member. I'll send you an email. Yeah, send me an email, Selena, please. I'll leave my email up there for a second longer. Thanks, Pam. Hi, I didn't even see you on here. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you. It was very helpful. I'm brand new to Worldvia member. Oh, good. I'm so glad. Thank you, Jane. Thank you. Happy Easter to anyone who celebrates. I hope you have a lovely long weekend. I hope I'll see you all in 2 weeks, or I'll see you at Cruise 360. And yeah, please feel free to send any questions along. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. Thank you, Shanita. I hope you all enjoy this. Oh, thank you, Michelle. I never know when I'm like too light on a topic, or if it should be a little heavier on a topic, or what I should get into. So I try to mix it up a bit. So I'm happy to hear you enjoy it regardless. So there'll definitely be more throughout the coming weeks and different things. I'm excited as we start to get into supplier relations and how you can build yourself in that space and it help you grow your business. That's really important to me coming from the supplier side. So I think that'll be really good for all you. Thank you, Casey. But yeah, I'll stay on for a minute. If anybody has any questions, I'll stay on until 8. It was a little shorty because it wasn't a heavy topic this week, but make sure to add yourself to the Facebook group if you haven't. And if not, I'll catch you very, very soon. It was so lovely as always. You can't wait for June so we can talk in person, Rocky. Yay! So many questions. I'm excited. Yeah, so for those of you that are still on, I'm headed to Cruise 360 next week. Thank you, Kathy. I'm headed to ASTA Travel Advisor Conference in Salt Lake City, Utah, the end of May, and then to Edge Conference in Las Vegas in June. So if you're at any of those events, please let me know. I'd love to meet up. So, but I thank y'all so much. Hope you're enjoying the day. Look, guys, it's almost still light out. I'm so glad I put the lamp on before I started though, because the light did go dark. By the time we're back in 2 weeks, though, I think I'll be fully light the whole time. But it's so lovely. Thank you, Rocky. I appreciate it. All right, it doesn't seem like there's any questions, so I'm going to end it, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your holiday if you celebrate, and we will talk very, very soon. So thanks, y'all. Have a great night.